Assalamu alaikum students. How are you all? Okay student, today is our lecture number 6 that is based on the topic chapter number 18, his first flight. Open your book, go to page number 112. Go to page number 112. Take out your pencils also. Have you opened your book? Okay. So today we will study about a story of a seagull who make his first flight, okay? It's written by Lam O'Flaherty. So put your finger on the first line. That start from the young seagull was alone on his ledge. Okay? So you have to underline each and every difficult word, okay? And then at the end of the reading we will write them as a dictation words. Shall we start the reading? Okay. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath. He felt certain that his wings would never support him, so he bent his head and ran back to the little hole under the ledge where he had slept all at night. Even when each of his brother and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, had run to the brink, flapped their wings, and flew away, he felt together courage to take the plunge. His father and mother had come around, calling him in threatening tones to let him strafe on the ledge, but still he couldn't move. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come near him. The day before, he had watched his parents flying about with his brother and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and dive for fish. He had, in fact, seen his older brother catch his first hunt and eat it, while his brother catch his first hunt, while his parents circled around, raising a proud cackle. The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing warmly on his ledge that faced the south. He felt the heat. He had not eaten since the previous nightfall. Then he had found a dry piece of fish still at far end of his ledge. Now there was not a single scrap of food left for him to eat. He had then trotted back and forth from one end of the ledge to the other, his grey body, his long grey legs, tently trying to find some means of reaching his parents without having to fly, but on each side of him The ledge ended in a sheer fall of the cliff with the sea beneath. And between him and his parents, there was a deep, wide chasm. He's moving to the next page, that is page number 113. Open your book, page number 113. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge, standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wing. He closed one eye, then the other, and pretending to be falling asleep. Still, they took no notice of him. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the other the cliff, dozing with their heads sunk into their necks. His father was stretching his feather and was enjoying the bright sun. Only his mother was looking at him. She was standing on a little high cliff now, and again she tore a piece at a piece of fish that lay at her feet, and then rubbed each side of her beak on the rock. The sight of the food reminded the young one that he was hungry. How he loved to tear food that way, rubbing his beak now and again. He uttered a low cackle. His mother cackled too and looked over at him. Ga ga ga, he cried, begging her to bring him over some food. Ga wa, she screamed back, mockingly. But he kept calling sorrowfully. After a minute or so, he uttered a joyful scream. His mother had picked up a piece of fish and was flying across to him with it. He leaned out eagerly, tapping the rock with his feet, trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. But when she was just opposite to him, very close to the ledge, she halted, her wings motionless, the piece of fish in her beak almost within the reach of his beak. He waited a moment in surprise, wondering why she didn't come near, and then, maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. With a loud scream, he fell outward and downward into the space. His mother had swooped upwards as he passed beneath her head. He heard the swish of her wing. Then a great terror seized him and his heart stood still. He could hear nothing, but it only lasted a moment. The next moment, moving to the next page, page number 114, 114. The next moment, he felt his wing spread outwards. The wind rushed against his feather, then under his stomach and against his wing. He could feel the tips of his wing cutting through the air. He was not falling headlong now. His wings were flapping downward and outward. He was no longer afraid. He just felt a bit dizzy. Then he screamed and flapped them again. He soared higher. Ga ga ga, ga ga ga, gaula. His mother swooped past him. Her wing made a loud noise. He answered with her with another scream. Then his father flew over him, screaming. Then he saw his two brothers and his sister flying around him. He completely forgot that he hadn't always been able to fly and began to dive and soar, shrieking loudly. He was near the sea, flying straight over it, facing straight out over. He saw a vast green ocean beneath him, with little ridges moving over it. He turned his beak sideways and crowed joyfully. His parents and his brother and sister landed a blue floor in front of him, then called him shrilly to follow them. He dropped his leg to stand on the green sea, but his leg sank into it. He screamed with fear and attempted to raise again, but he couldn't as he was tired and weak with hunger. His feet sank into the green sea and then his belly touched it and he further sank in the water. He was floating on it and around him his family was screaming. Then they were praising him and their beaks were offering him scraps of fish. He had made his first flight. Okay, student, this is a story of a seagull that you have listened. So, hope so you have understood it. Now, what you have to do, whatever the word you have underlined it, you have to write them as a dictation word in your notebook. Okay, what you have to do, you have to write them as this difficult word as a dictation word on your notebook. This is your first task, and number two task is write the meaning of the word that are given in green bold color in the chapter. There are a lot of words that are in green bold color. So what you have to do, you have to write their meanings, and you can take help from the glossary that is given at the end of the book. Okay, so on page number 112, the words that are in green colored are ledge, brink, expanse, perfecting, skim, cackle, trotted back and forth, daintily, sure, sharp, pretended, dozing, uttered, mockingly, eagerly, tapping, halted, maddened, swish, stood still, headlong, soared, dive and soar, crowd, shrilly, scraps. These are words you have to write. These are the words that are in green bold color. What you have to do, you have to write their meanings, and you have to look for the meaning at the end of the book in the glossary. Okay, take care, students. Allah Hafiz.